you're talking to me, and then he said, somehow I was talking to someone else and he heard my background, and he happened to be the CFO, I didn't know this at the time, of Bruce Lee's company. And I said, oh, I love Hong Kong, I wish I could get a job here, I love this place. I really literally fell in love with Hong Kong the minute I was there as a tourist. Anyway, long story short, as probably my movie's gonna be called, that's what everyone says, he started telling me that he, the CFO of Bruce Lee's company, and they were looking for someone possibly with my credentials. Fortunately, I always carried my letters of references around, even, as a young girl, from Johnny Carson, and I also did some other things after Johnny Carson. And so I end up literally, of course it's Hong Kong, they sent a Rolls Royce for me. I thought, oh, that's pretty impressive. I like that. And I go into probably to this day, the most extraordinary conference room I've ever been in. It's unbelievable. And of course it was all Bruce Lee's pictures. And I sat down, and the secretary came over. I have to just tell this because I remember this so clearly. And said, what would you like to drink? And it was only like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I jokingly said, oh, I'd love to have some Cristal champagne. I mean, I was raised from the Bronx, so I made money, so I had a very, expensive taste. And believe it or not, literally, in a crystal bucket, a bottle of that champagne I requested came with a golden glass, which I wish I had taken that glass. I'm telling you, to this day, I could have made a fortune on that glass. Anyway, bunch of gentlemen come in, and they were all, Bruce Lee was, I'm not even that tall, I'm only 5'7", and I was a little bit taller than Bruce Lee. Wow. And he came in, and was quite formal, etc., etc. And literally, the interview went on for 5 hours. And I thought, oh, I figured whatever. Long story short, I started with him the following week. He put me up in this magnificent penthouse in Kowloon. And in those days, it was extraordinary. I mean, I had a lot of people working for me, and he absolutely was so protective of me. He was such a wonderful, extraordinary person, by the way, but he was so protective of me that I actually had 2 bodyguards. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, they would literally walk. I would go to the restroom, and they would be walking with me to the restroom. I said, guys, I'm okay. I'm okay. The only thing I requested of Bruce Lee, and this was before I signed the contract, I said, I want to become a black belt, but I want you to teach me. And he said, what? He was like in shock. I said, yeah, I'm very athletic, don't worry about it. Well, my body, I became a brown belt, and he taught me. And let me tell you, the men who wanted to date me, once they saw my body, they ran away. It was so bruised. They thought some guy beat me up. But it was to be honest, it was worth every bruise and every bit of pain that I could tell you. And by the way, it comes in handy once in a while. I can tell you stories about men I've flipped on the floor. You don't want to hear that. Anyway, so I'm almost in tears to see this because the year I left him, the year I went on vacation after before Enter the Dragon was being distributed, and after Enter the Dragon, right after it was distributed, I took a long vacation. I said I want to go to see some friends in Denmark and Germany and so on, and I ended up in Munich, and I had 4 days to go back to work, and that's when I fell in love. A lot of my friends who were here know this story, but that's when I fell in love at first sight with my husband, Stefan, who passed away unfortunately in Hawaii, but his name is Sandra Kaiser. And I was a player. So, they were taking bets in Europe that there's no way I'm getting married to anyone. It was very funny. But I fell really in love, and Donna Summer, I don't know if any of you know her, but she was my husband's best friend, and she ended up throwing a wedding party, and we ended up living in Munich for years. Then we moved to Hawaii for 23 of the greatest years of my life. But anyway, you don't want to hear about my life. You want to hear about Bruce Lee. I guess I don't want to really keep you too long, but I want to know if anyone have any questions, or Howard?
Let everybody enjoy the movie.
Well, Howard is responsible for here. Thank you, Howard, so much. Thank you for everything.
What's the foundation?
The Bruce Lee Foundation.
Okay, what is it?
It's a foundation for children to teach them self-confidence and for anti-bullying purposes. And we might have another showing in Flushing, Queens, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. We're working on that for anyone who couldn't make it today. Appreciate everyone coming, and we're going